Hey YouTube, Casey here, and normally on this channel we take a look at LEGO Star Wars, but today we're taking a look at LEGO Space before Star Wars came into play. Ice Planet 2002 was introduced to Classic Space in 1993, kind of confusing with the 2002, but I guess that was just slapped on to sound futuristic. Out of all the Classic Space themes from this era, this one really sticks out because of how unique the color scheme is. The translucent neon orange color for the windshield, satellites, and other pieces look really great against that blue, white, and black. I was really introduced to this theme with the inclusion of a remade throwback Ice Planet figure in the latest collectible minifigure series. Unlike the original Ice Planet figures, this one's way more armored up and doesn't include that awesome trans neon orange color. This is because that color was discontinued a couple years back, so instead it just uses the standard LEGO orange on the figure with basic trans orange on the chainsaw. These chainsaw pieces were really common for this theme, but not actually new, but they still were used in a ton of the sets, like I said. Two new notable pieces, though, are these visor elements used on the helmets and the snow ski pieces that are really common in LEGO sets nowadays. All three of these make for a fully armored up Ice Planet figure that's ready to explore the planet Cristo where this theme takes place. Cristo is supposed to be a really icy and dangerous environment, which is why we see a lot of ground vehicles in this theme to help our buddies here make their way through the planet. Before we actually take a look at some of these vehicles, though, let's look at the three characters that you'll find throughout each of these sets. The most common figure is normally just referred to as the Ice Planet Astronaut, but I found out through a video by Bricking Up Brad that LEGO Racers concept art actually named him Will Chill, which is really funny to me. Something interesting to note here is that Ice Planet was one of the first themes to use face prints that weren't just the classic LEGO smile. Okay, well, it does have that classic smile still, but you can see that there's added details like the hair here on Will. The only theme I believe to have added details before this was Space Police 2, which came out in 1992 and had a headset microphone and eyebrows added onto their faces. So I guess at least Ice Planet was the first LEGO theme to include named characters, which of course we see all the time now in themes like Ninjago. The next character here is Commander Cold, who has bushy eyebrows and a white mustache on him. He has a different torso print than Will Chill without the breathing tubes and silver printing, but instead with golden details. And the last and rarest of the three is Dr. Kelvin, and she uses the same torso as Will, but obviously has a different head. She's got her red hair and earrings, and she's actually referenced under the helmet of the Ice Planet Explorer that we talked about earlier. Also, I never really mentioned this, but 2024's Dr. Kelvin includes this cool robotic penguin friend, which is a cool inclusion with the figure, and also a starry minifigure stand. Alright, so here is every single Ice Planet set ever released except for one. That would be the Explorer's Base of Operations Ice Station Odyssey. Maybe one day I'll be able to get my hands on this set, but for my quick thoughts, this thing is just so awesome and is such a perfect look at classic LEGO. It's nothing too complex, but looks great, especially with that big 3D base plate and orange window panels. You get some smaller vehicles as side builds, some rockets that you can launch off at the base, and all three characters of the theme. Okay, so now that I have everything else, I think it'd be smart to move from the smallest set here all the way up to the biggest and probably best set of all of Ice Planet. The smallest set is this polybag build called the Ice Planet Scooter. This, of course, is the cheapest way to get our boy Will Chill, who you're going to see a lot in these sets. Now, there isn't much going on with this set, but one thing I thought I'd go ahead and mention applies to this little control panel here at the front. This thing is printed, and so is every other detailed piece that you'll see in this theme. There's not a single sticker, which is really nice. Other than that, the scooter has some small clips on the back for accessories, some small thrusters on the sides, and is just a tiny little vehicle to help Will navigate around in the snow. The first actually boxed set here is the Ice Tunnelator, that uses these big white wheels that are on a few of the vehicles for sets in this theme. This thing rolls around really nice and has a chainsaw at the front to help it cut through snow and make tunnels through icy mountains, I guess as the name kind of hints towards. You can take the saw off the front, put it in Will's hands, and take the snow skis off the back if you want him to go tunnel through somewhere that's maybe smaller that the vehicle can't fit in. On the Tunnelator, there's room for one minifigure to sit with this big white seat element, and that's about it for this. The Celestial Sled is something a lot more unique to some of the smaller vehicles that you might see in other classic space themes, with the big skis on the bottom to help it slide around icy surfaces. This vehicle also introduces a play feature found in some of the Ice Planet sets where you're able to detach this back satellite and set up a little mobile ground station. Something else to point out here is the antenna piece that's hooked onto the side, and I guess it helps the pilot stay in contact with the astronauts who are back at Ice Station Odyssey. And the pilot included in this set gives us our first appearance of Captain Cold. Next up is the Blizzard Baron, our first spaceship of the theme. This thing has a super open cockpit, so I don't know how Will's going to stay alive here, but I mean, hey, it looks cool at least. It has a bunch of the minifigure Snowski pieces used as landing gear here, which is really nice parts usage in my opinion. On top of the wings, we have some more smaller thrusters that we saw on the Ice Planet scooter, but these do have some dish pieces that are maybe some sort of lasers or radars. This set has the same play feature that the Celestial Sled had, where you can take the back part off with the satellite, antenna, and control panel. There's also, of course, a chainsaw and snow skis that you can take off and put on Will. One of the most interesting sets of this theme is actually unnamed, and seemingly was a little harder to find back in the day than the rest of these sets were. Bricklink has named this the Ice Planet Satellite Plow, which seems like a pretty fitting name to me. The reason it's unnamed is because it never actually released in a set on its own, but only as a combo pack with this 4x4 fire truck. The Satellite Plow is basically the Ice Tunnelator's big brother, but instead of a chainsaw, it has this printed plow piece at the front. I love the callback to the classic space logo on here, but with an Ice Planet spin, which we've seen with a couple printed pieces in other sets already. Big surprise here, but this has the same play feature where you can remove the satellite section on the back. Oh, and this set also includes Commander Cold. Now, this next set is where we start to see the best parts of Ice Planet, in my opinion. The Ice Sat 5 isn't just another regular ground vehicle, but is actually a rocket transport and a mobile crane. So, it's got the normal stuff that we're used to with the big white wheels, an orange cockpit windscreen, and Will Chill, but at the back you can see it's got these orange shields that holds the rocket in place. Opening them up, the crane is able to lift up and detach the rocket due to this magnet connection. And this has to be one of the greatest LEGO play features I've seen in a while. Being able to load, launch, and then reload the rocket has to be something kids had a lot of fun with back in the 90s. This is the first set of mine that we've seen that includes one of these, which I don't really know what to call it, but it's supposed to be placed on top of the rocket before you launch it off, so do with that what you want. There's also this little ice pick piece here in this set that's supposed to be able to help Will clear some ice. And finally, we're at the greatest Ice Planet set of all time, the Deep Freeze Defender. This is probably the most iconic set of Ice Planet, and it takes the best of everything we've seen so far and combines it all into one model. This set includes all three characters, including Dr. Kelvin, who's only seen in this set and Ice Station Odyssey. Now, to get a scale for how large this actually is, here it is compared to the size of our little minifigure gang here. So you're able to disconnect this ship into a bunch of different sections, and you can even rearrange them into two whole different ships. So first off, you can take the cockpits off here and make them into their own little celestial sled type vehicles. Then you can disconnect the middle into what I guess would be like a rocket launch site, since you can flip up the middle to reveal a similar rocket to what we saw in the IceSat 5. It even has that same lever dish looking thing at the front that you can stick on top of the rocket. Now the largest section is the back, which serves as some sort of mobile base. Opening up these black thrusters, we're able to move down this garage type door that reveals this small sled that looks a lot like the scooter polybag. This scooter though has a magnet on the side which you could use with other sets. Now the way you rearrange things into the two ships is pretty simple. You just have to put one of the cockpits onto each of the larger sections. I don't think the two ships look as good as they do all connected into the big one, but this is still really cool, and I know I would have had a ton of fun with this when I was younger. I remember playing so much with the Ultra Stealth Raider set from Ninjago because of how you can break apart the set and then combine all the smaller vehicles into one big main model. So overall, I'm really glad that I got into Ice Planet 2002. This is the only classic space theme I've ever collected, but maybe down the line I'll start collecting something like Blacktron 2 or Magnetron, since Ice Planet's definitely opened me up into looking into more classic LEGO themes. But with that all said, remember that Christ is King, and may the Force be with you.
Turn such a cold planet into such a cool one. Lego System, Ice Planet, and Space Police, each set sold separately. Maniac not included.